deserve. A lot of folk get up in the morning like God owes them another day. Or like we have done something to earn another day. But I don't care how saved you are. I don't care how holy you look to us. All of us have done enough wrong. Any night we sleep, if God just checked the record, none of us would see the next morning. So every day is a gift from God. A lot of folk travel when we get up, checking out the weather every day. I'd rather check the weather. Because every day is a good day to me. It'll be a good cold day, a good hot day, a good rainy day, a good dry day, a good clear day, a good cloudy day. Don't matter to me. Every day above ground is a good day. Because every day I get up, I realize that somehow while I slept, a divine decision was made to look beyond my faults and supply my needs. So I try to show God every day that I'm grateful that He gave me what He didn't owe me, but He gave me anyhow. That I'm glad and honored to be here today with you as we celebrate this 10 years of journey here in Daytona Beach with a man that I've known even before he came. He and his wife and family I've known throughout the years, preached for him in Newark, and we have worked and struggled together in the upbuilding of God's kingdom and doing His work on earth. And that is my friend and your pastor, Rev Al Ronald Durham. This Saturday, we're having the big march in Washington around the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's march, where he talked about, I have a dream. And we are saying it's not a commemoration or continuation, because there's still issues we have to deal with, and we have not achieved Dr. King's dream. So when the invitation came in to be here, staff said, well, you can't go the Sunday before the march. You've got to be all over getting folk out for the march. And I said, if there's one man that I would come even the Sunday before the march, it's Ronald Durham. He has earned that respect. He has earned that loyalty because he has been that for all of us. He has been there when it was not convenient or not easy. And many preachers and pastors that are afraid to stand up, he has never backed down, and he's never sold out, and he's never been afraid. Some preachers are so heavenly bound, they're no earthly good. And then some get so political that they forget God and the spiritual. Durham has the balance where he he can deal with social justice and then bring 1,000 souls to Christ in 10 years. That's the man worthy of honor. Give him a big hand. Give him a big hand. And then he has not done it by himself every step of the way. His wife and family has been with him, and they have made us godly proud. What the family stand up? Stand up. Stand up. Give them a big hand. Sister Durham, the whole family. I will never forget, over a year ago, I received a call from Attorney Ben Crump. I had just finished, we had done the reenactment of the Voting Rights March from Selma to Montgomery, where we were raising the issue of these new vote ID laws that they also tried right here in Florida. And I just got back to New York, and Attorney Crump called and told me about what was going on in the case in Sanford. I had not heard of the case. There was a little something on the internet, but I really hadn't delved too deep in it. It was not nationally known. And he put on Tracy Martin, who told me about his son, Trayvon. And I said I'd not heard about the case. Crump said, that's why we call you. We need to bring national focus. They never tell that part, that I came because they called me. But they act like, in the media, they act like I ride around with a walkie-talkie radio. Once I agreed to come, and we said, you know what? We should just try to hold a big rally there. Because I could not understand how a young, unarmed man could be killed, and the police decide that night to let the killer go before they even knew who the kid was. I mean, you can't be the judge and the jury that night and don't even know the identification of the deceased. I mean, how do you know what the guy's saying is true or not? There could have been anything happen. Let him go. That outraged me. Said at least it should be a trial. And when we called that first big rally, the first person I called was Ronald Durham. And he was there from day one. A lot of folks got involved in the Trayvon movement after it got known. After it got hot, Durham helped make it hot. Dr. King said there are two types of leaders. There are thermometers and there are thermostats. Thermometers judge the temperature in the room. Thermostats change the temperature in the room. Durham is a thermostat leader. And you need that. I heard her talk about my show on MSNBC. I go, when I'm in New York, I do it every day at 30 Rockefeller Center. And I tell them there's two Al's that come do shows here. One is Al Roker, the other is me. Al Roker gives the temperature. I change the temperature. And you must have, there's no reason to honor Dr. King if you're not going to honor preachers that do what Dr. King did, like Ronald Durham. That the king is not in history because he just got along. He's in history because he stood up for what's wrong. So how do you honor king? But then those that raise against injustices now, you denounce. Seem to be talking out of both sides of your mouth. That guy called me, you get these guys that so smart, they silly. Guy called me on the radio the other day, said, Rev Al, I said, yeah. He says, some black kids beat up a white kid in Florida. I said, yes, I heard about it. I said, this is crazy. So you think it's wrong? I said, absolutely wrong. Should they go to jail? It is what we saw in the video, yes. But why did you go down there and march? I said, because they were arrested. Zimmerman was not arrested. What am I going down there and march about? The system responded right there. What am I going to protest? Second, his mama didn't call me. And I don't know what the strategy is. If I go down there and impose myself, then they can say I'm interfering. And thirdly, if Zimmerman had been arrested, I'd have never went to San. But it's not just Zimmerman. Right here in Daytona Beach. Police going on Facebook, calling an unarmed teenager a thug, associated with all kinds of stuff. Then they start a Facebook coalition of support after Rev Durham and leaders here question, and they say he has First Amendment right. He does, but so do you. And you have the right to say, if that's how you look at a young man that had never been convicted of a crime, that was unarmed, then you have the right to feel that way, but we have the right to say you ought not be a policeman over our children. If you see young, unarmed, young men with no criminal record as a thug, that's your right. But citizens have the right to say, if that's your mentality, then how can we trust you to be an officer of the law? Everybody's got rights. If I march and go sit in somewhere and violate the law, I expect to be arrested. I've exercised my right, and they have the right to arrest me. He has the right to say what he wants on Facebook, but then he got to face what he said. Now let me go on to my scripture. I think the president Book of Exodus, 8th chapter. Beginning at the 8th verse. Reads, Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, Entreat the Lord, that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice unto the Lord. Moses said unto Pharaoh, Glory over me. When shall I entreat for thee, and for thy servants, and for thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee, and the houses that they may remain in the river only. And he said tomorrow, and he said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto the Lord our God. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. I want to use for a thought this morning, one more night with the frogs. One more night with the frogs. For the last 10 years, Pastor Durham has wrestled with those in this community to decide to take a stand for Christ. To turn from a sinful and life that has flaws and to make a decision to follow Jesus. Many of us react different ways. Many of us are in denial. Others of us are into self-justification. You never met a better lawyer till you hear a sinner explain why what they're doing really ain't sinful. And then some of us just procrastinate and never make a decision at all. Some folk even come to church but never converted, and they come as a custom, just something they do on Sunday if the weather's all right. Don't come because they're grateful to God. Don't come because they've submitted to God. It's just their custom. And if nothing else supersedes, they'll drop by the church if they don't hold the service too long. God gives you 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, but you got 2 hours for him. And you better not go over those 2 hours. Yet we want so much from God. Yet give so little back to God. There was a time when there was a great empire in Egypt. And the empire rested on the shoulders of slaves who were Israelites. It's not hard to become wealthy and powerful if the folk working for you, you don't have to pay. So Egypt became this great power because they had slaves that worked without wages, had to make brick without straw. But God will allow certain things for a certain amount of time. But then God in his own time. One thing I've learned is that God don't operate on our clock in his own time. God will choose and change things with those that are willing to be used. In God's time, God decided that he was going to deal with this slavery question. Pharaoh, knowing that it was inevitable that his reign would not last forever, he said, I know how I can deal with this. Kill the newborn boys of the Israelites. And if we kill the boys, A leader cannot emerge because they will not follow one. But man plans. But God is the best of plans. Lady had a child, hit him as long as she could. You can imagine as the baby got days old and weeks older, his lungs stronger, he's crying louder. She knew she couldn't hide him for so long. The Bible says she placed him in a basket. What she didn't know is that God navigates the waters that he made. And God brought the basket right back down to Pharaoh's house. And Moses grew up in Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh was looking for the leader, not knowing the leader would sit across the table every night. But when Moses became of age, he found out who he was. He discovered he was not this great Egyptian, not an heir to Pharaoh. He was one of the Israelites who he had enslaved. And unlike many of us, Moses decided to be true to who he was. Some of y'all try to act like you're not who you are. Like God made a mistake. Like you different from everybody else. But you cannot embrace God unless you embrace what God made you to be. Whatever you are, God intended for you to be that. And God can use what you are to become what he wants you to be if you embrace what you are. Moses went out, bagged Jethro's daughter. They told him about this mountain, Sinai, that the God of his people lived on. Moses went up on the mountain to challenge God on why he had not liberated his people, and little did Moses know. Thought he went to challenge God. But God had already made an appointment with him that he never knew about. When he got up there, God said, I've been waiting on you. Now take off your shoes. Because you're standing on holy ground. Let's get clear who's in charge. So now I want you to turn around and go back to Egypt. I want you to go to Pharaoh's house. You know the address because I arranged for you to grow up there. And I want you to tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Moses, who thought he had the audacity to challenge God, said, well, wait a minute. How can I tell him that? I'm not a great orator. I'm not a great speaker. I can't go and deliver this message. God said, I didn't ask you about your qualifications. I knew you couldn't talk before you come up here. Just open up your mouth and I'll speak for you. Well, who should I say send it? Just tell them I am. Because I'm going to make it clear that I am, because I never send nobody that I don't back them up. One of the reasons you know God sent Durham is he backs up who he sent. Moses and his brother Aaron went on. And they said, let my people go. Oh, Pharaoh laughed at them. They turned. And God said, just stretch your rod out. When he stretched out his rod, it turned to a serpent. Pharaoh saw I can do that. He brought his magicians in. They put their rods out, turned to serpent. But when they looked, Moses' serpent ate up Pharaoh's serpent. Pharaoh wouldn't let everybody come back, contaminated the waters, fish died. Pharaoh got a little weaker, finally come back and said, if you don't let him go, everything in your kingdom will be consumed with frogs. Pharaoh mocked it, but when he woke up, frogs everywhere. Frogs in everybody's house. Frogs all over Pharaoh's palace. Frogs all over where he would bathe. Frogs over where he would sit. His servants came in complaining of frogs. His governors complaining of frogs. He had lost control of his kingdom. He sent for Moses and Aaron and said, I can't abide by this. I can't deal with this. Tell your God to move these frogs, and I'll let y'all leave. I'll let you take the children of Israel. I'll let you take the slaves. Just get these frogs out of here. Moses looked at him, the frogs got you. Yeah, just get rid of them. He said, all right, I will entreat God to remove the frogs. When do you want me to do it? He said, tomorrow. About that. Frogs all in your bed, frogs all in your food, frogs all over your house. The man that can remove them all, so I can get rid of them, when do you want me to do it? He said, tomorrow. Because despite the condition he was in, Pharaoh wanted one more night with the frogs. Well, that's how some of you and I have been. Got a bad habit. Know you've been living wrong. Know you've been doing wrong. Know that you've been on the brink of disaster. Knowing you've been on the brink of losing it all. And Durham get up and preach to you and say, God will deliver you right now. Are you ready to submit right now? Are you ready to let God take control right now? When you gonna come and accept him? You say tomorrow. Quite ready yet. I gotta get my business in order. I gotta get myself together. You'll never get right till you quit spending that one more night with them frogs. You'll never get right till you say right now, no more hesitation. No more procrastination. No more stalling. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what everybody's going to think. But right now, I'm going to make up my mind. I'm going to give it all up and give it to God. Now, a lot of y'all don't give it up because y'all have got a lot of stuff in your head. I meet people all the time, everywhere I go, that God has called for them to do something. I'm sure many of you here today, God has called you for a reason. Everybody born was born for some purpose. Not just preachers, everybody. God gave everyone a reason. Every child born is a decision God made. But a lot fulfill it or accept it. Because we allow others to talk us out of what God called us to do. Well, you know, I would do it, but I don't have the education, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the connections, or I got a bad background. If I get out there, they're going to dig up something on me. They're going to tell my mess. God knew your situation when he called you. God knew your education. God knew you was broke. God knew you didn't know nobody. God knew you made mistakes. Sometimes he liked folk that's been a little messy. Because only messy folk can straighten out this mess. You know, I travel a lot now. I go good weather, bad weather, early flight, late flight, don't matter to me. Have to get to going where I'm going. Only time Lamont Bland traveled with me today, our national field director, he tell you the only time I won't get on the plane is if they tell me it's the pilot's first trip. He be there debating me. Rev Al Sharpton, he been to pilot school, he got his certification, got his certificate, everything good. I got all that. But just something about the thought. If we go up and hit the clouds, and he ain't never been in charge of a radar before. I don't want to be up there the first time he figured that out. Or we hit some turbulence and he ain't never been in charge of that. I don't want to be up there the first time. Same way with a lot of folk I meet on the road. Ronald Durham tell me I got my resume, I got a beautiful background, been well refined, well polished, never made a mistake. Nobody can say nothing bad about me. Nobody can ever say I did any wrong. Never been in no jam, never did no, had a record, never had a bad habit. Well, stay away from me. What you mean? I got a perfect background. Well, if you ain't never been through that, I don't know if you can get through that. If you hang out with me, we liable to go through something. And I don't know if you're strong enough to get through it, because you ain't never been tested. With folk that been knocked down, that been dragged through the mud, that been talked about, that's been ridiculed, that's been laughed at, that's been rejected. You ain't never been through nothing. You just guessing what God can do. But if you've been through the fight, I've been preaching since I was a little boy, and that's true. When I was a little boy, I used to preach what I heard the old preachers preach. But now that I'm older, I'm not talking about what I heard. I'm talking about what I know. I told President Obama I like his book about hope. Many of us read his book. And he got it from a sermon from his former pastor. I remember a generation ago, Jesse used to talk about Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive. And I believe in hope. I, all my life, had to go on the hope of a better day and the hope of a better situation. But the older I get, I want the young folks to know there are going to be things that confront you in life. It's going to dash your hopes. There are going to be things that will rattle you. That hope will leave. But I'm glad when I was a little boy, Mama brought me to church. And they put a gear in me that when hope runs out, I can switch gears to faith. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when the doctors give up. But you hold on for another doctor. Faith is when you got a pile of bills and no money. But you say he will provide all of my needs. Faith is when your friend calls out. When your loved ones turn their back. But you say, I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me now. We come this far by faith. I come by to tell you you need faith to let them frogs go. You need faith to quit doubting yourself, to quit questioning yourself. Whatever you did is all right. Don't worry about what they can dig up. Don't worry what they can say. Because the God before you is more than the whole world against you. Don't worry about them digging up your mess. Put your mess out there. Tell them what they tell you. Say, yes, I've been down. Yes, I made mistakes. But God brought me through. I remember 2004, I ran for president. I remember one night we had a debate in Detroit. At the end of the debate, I came off stage and the reporter stopped me and said, Rev Al? I said, yes. He said, you did good. I said, thank you. He said, no, I'm serious. I think you won the debate. I said, well, thank you. He said, you ought to be proud of yourself. I turned around and I said, why you say that? He said, to be up there on that stage and you compete with governors and senators and holding your own, you ought to be proud to be up there. I said, they ought to be proud to be up there with me. He said, well, how do you figure that? I said, well, they come from backgrounds of money and power and prestige. They were born on third base. I wasn't even born in the stadium. I had to come through the parking lot, down through the beaches. Yet we all on the same stage now. But they had to go through what I went through. They might not have made it here. But through hills and dangers, God brought me a mighty long way. I was at a minister's conference. I'll let you go. I was at a minister's conference not long ago. A bunch of ministers were sitting in the pastor's study before we went out. We started talking about how to deal with crisis in life. One older preacher said, you know, when I face a crisis, I take my Bible out and read Job's story. Wait for my change to come. Another one said, no, I like to read about Jeremiah. Said that it's like fire shut up in my bones. Other one said, no, I like to read Gideon's story. How God called them from under the wine press. They went all around the room. They finally got to me. They said, Al, you've been through a lot. What do you do when you face a crisis? I said, well, I'll tell y'all the truth. I don't go and read Job's story. I don't rehash Jeremiah's story. I don't think about what God did for Gideon. When I face a crisis in life, I go off by myself and I hit the rewind button in my own mind and I think about what God does for me. I'm not talking about things you heard about. I'm not talking about things you read in the paper. I'm talking about things I never told nobody. I'm talking about days I thought would never end. I'm talking about corners I thought I'd never turn. But somehow, some way, God made a way. God delivered me. God brought me from a mighty long way. Mama told me, he may not be there when you want to go, but he's always on time. He walks with me. He talks with me. He tells me that I'm hero. He been true when I was hungry. He been water when I was thirsty. He's my rock, my sword and shield, my will, my will, my will. In the middle of the wheel, he's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He woke me up this morning, started me on my way. Yes, 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 yes. In my life, I've had to cry sometime. In my life, I walk alone sometime. I've been lied on, cheated, talked about. I've been mistreated. I've been up, I've been down. I've been leveled to the ground. I've been stabbed. I've been prosecuted. But through it all, through it all, through it all, trust in Jesus. Through it all, through it all. I learned to depend on His word. He'll make a way. He'll make a way. He'll make a way. Yes, He will. Yes, He will. Yes, 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 yes. When I came in, the sister walked me down the aisle. I heard the choir singing. I wish I could sing like that. Then the brother sung the sermon again. I wish I could sing like that. But God didn't give me that gift. But sometimes, in the midnight hour, after my cell phone stopped ringing, after the doorbell quieted down, Durham, I go out in my living room, all by myself, and I sing my song. I can't sing the Sunday morning service. I someone on this anniversary that's ready right now to give up those frauds. You ought not leave here today talking about tomorrow. You don't need no more nights with your fraud. You know what your fraud is. You've been living with them a long time. Could be a habit. Could be the wrong crowd. Could be your own self-doubt. You need to let go right now and let God take charge of your life. If you're here today, I want you to step out. Don't worry about who's watching. We all have to